Acts chapter 17, verse 25. Neither is worship with men's hands, talking about God, as though he needed anything, seeing he giveth to all life and breath and all things. I'm looking at the facts of life. God is not worshipped with men's hands as though he needed anything, but seeing he giveth to all life and breath and all things. What is life all about? The worst thing that can happen to anybody is to be living and does not know the reason why he's alive. Sleep every night, wake up every morning to no purpose. It's a tragedy of life. Please understand these three things. First, when the purpose of life is not understood, life ends with regrets. When the purpose of life is not understood, life ends with regrets. There are many people today, at the end of their journey, they are full of too many regrets. I wished I did this, I wish I didn't do that. When the purpose of life is not understood, life ends with regrets. Secondly, when the purpose of life is not understood, life is lived as a burden. When the purpose of life is not understood, life is lived as a burden. You see people, at times, just what's the aim of this life? It's burdensome. Thirdly, when the purpose of life is not understood, disaster is inevitable. It's like an aircraft moving in the air out of touch with the control tower. Disaster is inevitable. A crash can happen anytime. There are many people whose lives and destinies crashed because the purpose of life was not understood. What is life all about? 5 facts I'll give you this morning about life. Number 1, life is a gift. He giveth to all life. Life is a gift. Nobody decided to live and he's alive. Life is a gift. What is the implication of life being a gift? One implication, simple. Life must be used to the pleasure of the giver. If it is a gift, then it must be lived to the pleasure of the giver. How excited would you be, brothers and sisters? You bought a fine looking suit and you gave it to somebody, and the next time you visited his house, he was using the suit as rag. What a pain. What a pain. That is how exactly Almighty God feels when he gave you life and you choke it with alcohol and you suffocate it with Indian hemp and you squander it in prostitution. And instead of advertising God with your body, you advertise the flesh and usher people into distraction and destruction. It must be used to the pleasure of the giver. There are people who God see and regret creating them. He regrets. It happened in the days of Noah. He said he repented God that he made man. When he saw the way they lived and he saw the way they squandered themselves, he said, God repented. Why did I make these people? Let me finish them with the flood. As you are seated here, my dear brothers and sisters, when God looks at your life, is he glad that he made you, or he's sad that he made you? Does it excite God that he did not waste his resources and his time creating you, or it repents God? That was Genesis 6 and in verse 5 and 6. And God saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil control. And it repented the Lord that he had made man. That is in the days of Noah. There are many of us. The way we spend our time, the way we spend our money, the way we carry ourselves, God will look and say, oh, what a waste of effort on this one. What a waste. I don't know about you, but I want to live my life to such a point where God will look down and say, this is my beloved son. I am happy with you. I am happy with you. With the way you pray, you study my word, you touch people's lives, with the way you sacrifice yourself for me, with the way you insist on doing what is right and tell others to do the same, with the way you are leading people to heaven and not leading them to hell. I am happy with you. Is God Almighty happy with you? Life is a gift that must be lived to the pleasure of the giver. This is my beloved son. In him I am pleased. Number 2, life is a privilege. A privilege. What do we mean by that? It's a privilege. It's a privilege because nobody woke up this morning because he decided to wake up. There were those who slept last night and they couldn't wake up this morning. There was no trace of sickness, no diabetes, no hypertension, no peptic ulcer disease. They slept in health and woke up in death. It's a privilege. Nobody can be too powerful and for the sake of his power he is alive. Nobody can be too wise and because of his wisdom he lived. Nobody can be too talented and because of his talent he lived. Nobody can be so connected that his connection made him to live. For every single second the man lives, it is a privilege, not a right. Is God speaking to somebody here? I heard the story of this very rough American President Theodore Roosevelt. Very rough, very aggressive, very fightful man, very audacious. A man given to adventure. A man who could fight anything. And one day he died. And he died in his sleep. And somebody wrote and said, only in sleep could that man have died. Because if he was awake, he would have fought with death. You see, he was powerful, but not too powerful to bow for death. Am I communicating? Medical professor carried his resident doctors and if you have ever been to a teaching hospital, you see how a professor is moving and consultants are moving with him and residents and doctors in training and then undergraduates, everybody moving along. And one day he had some slight abdominal condition. And he did an ultrasound on himself and realized it was hepatocellular carcinoma. And he told them, oh, this is the diagnosis. Bye, all of you. He has been a doctor and a professor for years. He hasn't seen anybody survived it. So he wished them bye and bowed to death. Despite his medical knowledge, he couldn't help himself. Take your seat. It's a privilege. Because even doctors who treat others die too. I was in the teaching hospital at a point during my housemanship, and a doctor more senior than me in the same teaching hospital was sick of fever and had typhoid perforations and died inside teaching hospital under the nose of consultants and professionals and specialists in all fields. Under their nose, himself being a professional, typhoid perforated his intestines. He was gone. It's a privilege. I told you the story of before, the story before of Alexander the Great. When he died, they carried him everywhere. He was with one of the Nebuchadnezzars. And then when they did everything to make him leave and he could not leave, Alexander the Great, he told his army generals, he said, it's obvious that I'm going to die. But before I die, I ask that you do 3 things for me. And his general said, General, we can do anything for you. So what are those things? Number 1, he said, when I die, let my doctors carry me on their shoulder to the graveyard and bury me there. Number 2, let my money and the gold and the diamonds and the pearls and everything I gather from around the world in war, let all of it be poured on the ground between the house and the grave. And number 3, let them bury me with an open hand. That's, he's buried and his hands are open. And the general got confused. And they said, you know, sir, that anything you say we should do, we'll do. But what is the meaning of these instructions? And he told them, he said, number 1, let my doctors bury me, carry me on their shoulder, and let the world know that in the day of death, no doctor can save you. That the doctors were watching and I still died. No matter how rich, no matter the kind of consultants you can get, let the world know. See, number 2, pour the money on the ground between the house and the grave to let the world know that that money is not different from the earth. Say, bury me with an open hand to show people that I didn't take anything from here. I came to the world naked and I left naked. I couldn't carry anything from here. What a lesson. What a lesson. What is the meaning of life is a privilege? Life is a privilege means it must never be taken for granted. Take your seat. It must never be taken for granted. Don't keep on saying, what is life all about? Let me die. You just invite death and die for nothing. It must never be taken for granted. It must be lived with appreciation. It must be lived with appreciation. Life is a privilege. Number 3, life is a seed. Life is a seed. Life is a seed. Life is a seed. How we live today determines where we end tomorrow. Every act is a seed that is definitely going to produce a harvest. Life is a seed. The way you live is the seeds you are sowing. Living is seeding. Your relationship with your fellow human beings, your character, your lifestyle, they are seeds you are sowing that is definitely going to produce a harvest. Am I communicating? Hear this. How you live in time determines where you end in eternity. People are sowing seeds with their lives. When you lie against your neighbor, you sow the seed that you reap in time and eternity. When you stole money that is not your own, you sow the seed. When you step into somebody's home, push out the woman, marry the man. All right? The woman doesn't deserve the man. You deserve the man more than the woman. You sow seeds that will generate for you harvest in time and in eternity. When you fail the student because she refused to compromise and give you bribe or sleep with you, and you fail them in exam, as if they send them to school for you to destroy their lives, you sow the seed that you are going to reap in time and eternity. When you carry petrol and mix it with kerosene or something in order to increase the profit, you sow the seed that you will reap in time and eternity. When you carry flour that they used to bake and you mix it with cassava to increase its volume, you sow the seed that you reap in time and eternity. When you increase, you reduce your age in order to get job, you sow the seed that you reap in time and in eternity. When you lied so you can get visa, you sowed a seed. Are you hearing what I'm saying here today? People are busy sowing seeds on a daily basis. When you lie against your neighbor at the place of work so you can get favor, you sow the seed so that the person can reduce and you can increase. You sow the seed. When they sent you to buy something for your organization and you increase the price so that you and the seller can share the difference, you sow the seed that your children may not recover from. Because he said, when Naaman the Syrian was healed and Gehazi collected money from Naaman the Syrian, and he was not meant to collect, and he lied, Elisha said, the leprosy of Naaman is on you and your generation. There are people who do things today and implicate their children, even children yet unborn. You sow a seed. When you collect bribe to pervert justice, you sow a seed. A seed that you reap in time and eternity. Am I communicating? Take your seed. Beware how you live, because your living is your seeding. Living is seeding. I think it was in my 5th year in medical school. We're doing word round. I think I can remember the word 15, where I met a young man. This young man had 3 major conditions, and each of them could lead to a person's death. He had number 1, chronic liver disease of alcoholic origin. Number 2, he had constrictive pericarditis, which was also traceable to alcoholism. And number 3, he had pulmonary tuberculosis, all traceable to alcoholism. The young man was 19 years old. 19. He was in Polytechnic. When I spoke with him, he told me he had lived recklessly in a hurry. He could drink 19 bottles of alcohol in one sitting. His living was his seeding, and his multiple organ affliction was his harvest. The liver was affected, major organ. The lung was affected, major organ. The heart was affected, major organ. It was his harvest. I looked at him. I led him to Christ. I said, you wasted your life in a hurry. At a young age, you just finished yourself. But I led him to Christ. And I traveled. On my return back, I was told that he was taken to the theater because the heart was so bad. The professor of surgery wanted to do a surgery on him and strip. The pericardium is the outer bag, outer covering of the heart. into which the heart beats like this. And it's like, and so when it is constricted, the heart has no allowance to beat. All right? So the professor was trying to strip that outer covering in the surgery, and then he died on operation table. From the theater straight to the mortuary. Having lived in a hurry, he sowed seeds that produced negative harvest. I felt so terrible when I returned back and I was told he died on the table. But I was only consoled a little bit that at least he gave his life to Christ at the dying moment. But he cut short his potential. Everything that could have become of him in this world perished. Any life he was meant to touch vanished. Whatever he was meant to amount to ended abruptly at the frequency of sowing negative seeds that produce negative harvest. Life is a seed. Every time you do something good, you have sown a good seed. Every time you put a smile on somebody's face, you sown a seed that can affect you and affect your children. Every time you touch somebody for God, you sow the seed. Every time you release resources to change lives, you sow seeds. Life is a seed. That was number 3. Number 4, life is a game. It's a game. It's a game. Like a football game. Like volleyball. It's a game. So life is a seed means that you should endeavor to sow good seeds. Now, life is a game. The meaning of that is how you live determines whether you win or lose in life. Living determines winning, and living determines losing. There is a way to live to win in this world and in the world to come, and there is a way to live to lose. Whatever we do in life involves transaction. Esau lived to lose. Jacob lived to win. Just for the satisfaction of his appetite, Esau sold his birthright. He got the meal of a day and lost the right of a lifetime. Am I communicating? That is how it is. Many times we try to gain something and we lose something. It is like you gave 5 naira, you gave 50,000 naira and you got a shoe. What you want to find out is whether the shoe justifies the 50,000. Am I communicating? Am I communicating? Does the shoe justify the 50,000? If it justifies, it's all right. You live recklessly and got HIV. The pleasure you got, did it justify the HIV? If it justifies, no problem. Query pleasure. Am I communicating? Life is a game. While as we live, we are playing a game. My counsel is, please play to win, not to lose. Play to win. Live to win. Do the things that will make you win, that will make you not a loser in time and a loser in eternity. Play to win. Take your seat. Is anybody following anything here today? I was on call. It was Christmas Day of 1994 at the G Hospital. Christmas Day call. And a young man, emergency, and a young man was brought in. He was riding a motorcycle in the night on Christmas Day that had no light and no brake, and he was drunk. What a game. Maybe he played it before and won, but not on that day. No light, no break, in the night, drunk. He just rode straight into the middle of an oncoming Mercedes car, bam, drunk, and then died on the spot. Brought in dead to the accident and emergency, smelling of alcohol. Dead body, smelling alcohol. That is, he drank liquid hell to assist him to end in hell. Taken straight to the mortuary. What a loss. He played to lose. His game was a loss. He lost in time and then lost eternally in eternity. Do you understand that? In time he had no life left. In eternity he's going to roast in hell forever, regretting whatever created him. Please don't play to lose. In all the lives and the things we do, ask yourself, am I gaining anything out of this? And is what I'm gaining what I'm going to lose? Play to win. Finally, number 5, life is vapor. James chapter 4 and in verse 14, he said, what is even your life? It is even a vapor that appeareth for a little time and then vanisheth away. It's a vapor. Vapor. The best of men are men at best. Man, nobody can be so powerful not to be a man, no matter how powerful you are. Vapor that appears for a while. Everyone you see today will go someday. The founder of Apple Computers, who died about 3 or 4 years ago, Steve Jobs, at the age of 54. He went to give a talk somewhere and noticed a symptom in his body. And he realized that it was a terminal symptom. So he gave a 15-minute talk in the university. And he said, by the time the doctor showed him his diagnosis, the whole of his life came before him. How did I live? How should I have lived? What should I do? Then he said, live each day as if it is the last, because one day it will be the last. Do you know the meaning of that? If you live for, let me say, God has planned for somebody here to pass on to eternity on the 5th of July 2060. I think that's a good allowance. If Jesus tarries to come on the 5th of July 2060, it means on the 4th of July, you have only one day to live. But you may not be aware. One day, everybody will have only 24 hours. One day. Don't wait for that 24 hours to arrive. Live it now. Hello? Somebody told John Wesley, they said to him, if you have 24 hours to live, John Wesley, the founder of the Methodist Church, what would you do with your life if you have only tomorrow to live? He said, I will continue doing exactly what I am doing now. So there is nothing I would have loved to do I'm not currently doing. I am living my life the way I should live it. That is the meaning of life is a vapor. Not to frighten you to say you will die tomorrow. The meaning of that is live on the edge. Live with a sense of urgency. Live on the edge. Live with a sense of urgency. Understand your priorities and understand your posteriorities. Know what to put in front of you and know what to put behind you. Don't bother with what does not matter. Don't spend your lifetime making enemies. For life is a vapor. And in conclusion, take your seat. Having understood that life is a seed, is a gift, and life is a privilege, and life is a seed, and life is a game, and life is vapor. What do you do? Number one, ensure quality relationship with your maker continually. Ensure quality relationship. Ensure quality relationship. A relationship where your life is permanently pleasing your maker. Quality relationship with your maker continually. Number two, ensure quality relationship with humanity. Quality. Ensure you have valuable quality relationship with the people of your life. Husband, wife, brother, sister, loved ones. Ensure quality relationship with humanity. Ensure it. Trust God to be more of a people person than more of an anti-people person. And finally, ensure quality impact in life. Quality impact. Be remembered for something good. Do something for somebody who will never forget for life. Do something in the church that the church will remember you permanent. Do something in your generation. Quality impact. Quality impact. Quality impact. Quality impact. I traveled to attend somebody's wedding. And there were people who were there who are wondering, you traveled all the way to attend the wedding and pray for a couple. And we have invited you to preach before. You were not able to come, and you came for wedding. The question is, what is the quality of my relationship with you? Hello? How many of you know that you can visit your mother or your father, not because you have business, but because they say come? Yes. Meanwhile, they may invite you somewhere for a business schedule and you don't have the time to go. That's how life is. That's how life is. You may be traveling to America and the person living in the neighborhood, the next person in the next flat is not aware. But your brother in Okigwe, you have to phone him. Somebody at a distance is aware of your movement. Somebody in proximity is not aware. It's a matter of relationship. What is my business with you? It determines what I can tell you. Take your seat. Quality impact. Let somebody be happy that your mother gave birth to you. To live for self is to live like a slave. To live for self is to end on the shelf. To live for self is to live for less. To live for self is to live for small. Live beyond yourself. Quality impact. Quality impact. And your life can never be the same.